I'm Komal, and I am an entrepreneur and designer, and I started a design agency about 7 years ago, and I've started a couple of other companies as well, so I'm quite familiar and comfortable with entrepreneurship, and I'm here to share some tips with you guys. Mobo Design is a design agency and a branding studio that was started in 2013. What we do is we create brand strategy for companies and we run rebranding initiatives. But the way we do it is a little bit different to other companies out there because we use a human-centered approach to rebranding companies or branding companies in general. What that means is that we work with stakeholders such as the consumers, the customers, and also the investors or owners of the company, and we create with them the new brand identity or working on the rebranding initiative. So it's different to other companies that are also doing branding because we work together and we create together. Okay, so actually when I decided to become a graphic designer, so I went to university for marketing and management, and when I went to northern China for a little while in 2012, I started in the hospitality industry in marketing. Before that, I'd started my own company, but fast forward a little bit, and the reason why I got into graphic design or design in general is because I feel like I always had an eye, or I looked out for those things always. When I looked at other companies or other branding initiatives, I was very interested by the way that people told their stories visually. So I was interested in that, and I think there's a lot more that you can say without words or in addition to words. And that is what kind of inspired me to move into branding and graphic design. So at Mobo Design, actually what I'm doing right now in general is I'm also consulting in a design thinking tech consultancy. But when I spent 99% of my time on Mobo, a lot of the day-to-days as a founder is pretty much doing everything. You have to take care of client requests. You need to have a handle on accounting, on financials, the numbers. You also need to take a break from all the administrative tasks and once in a while, use your mind and boost your creativity of the team that you work with. You have to do a little bit of project management as well. There's a lot of things that you need to cover as a founder, and the great thing about being an entrepreneur as a founder is that you learn so many life skills in an exponentially smaller time than most people would if they were working a corporate job. So predominantly we work with quite a mobile remote team, and the working culture and the way that we work is that there's no one stupid idea, let's put it like that. We're very open-minded, fluid individuals, and we're quite adaptive, and the fact that we have different perspectives and we have different nationalities that we've worked with in our teams and on our projects is extremely helpful. And it allows us to bring in a very diverse perspective for every project. So that is the thing I enjoy the most about the way we work. All right, so greatest achievement. Well, I'm actually proud of quite a bit of the work that we've done in the past with all of our clients, because I think we've tried to deliver as much creativity as possible within the constraints of client requests and their needs. One of the things, though, that I was most proud of is back in Beijing, we were commissioned by a hotel to do something creative or out of the box with their outdoor space. So they had a bar and they had an outdoor space in their venue that was being underutilized, and they needed to do something with it. And of course, from a branding perspective, you can't really brand an outdoor space just on its own. It's not going to increase revenues. So they were actually open. They asked us to be as creative as possible. And what we decided to do is we envisioned upcycling a container, a shipping container, and we turned it into a craft beer bar in Beijing. And actually, this is something that was extremely challenging for us because, as you know, branding and design agencies would focus a lot more on strategy, they'd focus on graphic designs, they focus on visuals and creativity. But this was using design in a different way, in a way that we were not comfortable with. But that's the part that I guess makes me proud of this project, that it was challenging for us, and we mobilized the resources we had around us. We used our network to bring an engineer or a technical person on board to our creative team to come up with the numbers on how to cut the metal, how to construct the craft beer container, and we pulled it off in the end, and we did a great job. And this was a container that was the first of its kind in northern China, and it received attention from the press, and we were very proud of it because we branded it as well, and we envisioned it from 0 to 1, and that's something I'm very proud of. Challenges, well, when you're running a company, you definitely have challenges on a daily basis. Let's just say sometimes you deal with complaints on a very regular basis. How do you deal with these things is dependent on how, number one, mature you are and how good you are at actually justifying your perspective. So I would say some of the challenges that we've had across all of our projects is sometimes stakeholders will either change their mind. Sometimes at the end of a project, they just change their mind on how they foresaw the brand. And sometimes you don't have enough information about the target audience or the target user. And another time, sometimes they bring in the responsible stakeholder at the end, and he decided that he doesn't like it, and you guys have already signed off on it. You've already done the work. So a way that we've countered that is by bringing maximum transparency at the beginning of the process. We make sure that the input is emphasized as much as the output, because if rubbish goes in, rubbish will come out. So you have to make sure that, look at what the data shows you, look at what your target users are saying, and involve them in the process, involve your stakeholders in the process, involve your client as much as possible in the process. Don't do it in a way that is very siloed. Do it in a more transparent, in the form of a partnership, because very honestly, that is the way you get the most successful result. When you involve the end user as much as possible, because then you can justify the decisions that you made. You made smart design decisions that were thought about for the consumer and not just for what looks good on your portfolio. All right, so when we're talking about tools, I would divide a creative project into 3 different stages. There's obviously the business side of it, because you do need to monitor and plan a project. You need to understand how many people are going to work on a certain section of a project. You've got to understand your deadlines, when you're going to deliver to your client, your revenue, your turnover. You need to make sure that you can organize the project in a seamless way to bring it from A to Z. And the second part of tooling would be recording, which I'll go into after. And the third one would be tools related to creativity, to creating and brainstorming and generating new ideas, because that is a very essential part of graphic design as well.